Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Superboy Legacy on YouTube. I think that's the first time I've said it without accidentally saying Superboy The Legacy on YouTube. But welcome back. We're doing another episode of the Ruby Spears Superman animated series. I'm your host Tom Gallagher, and with me is our Superboy fact checker in residence. I forgot to say the resident bit at the beginning. Tried to throw it in at the end. Not sure it worked. But Chris Jacobsen, welcome, Chris.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
Same old. Can't complain. Of course, if I did, nobody cared.
So, before we actually get into watching this episode, you say Cybron Strikes is one of the best episodes.
Yes, it is. At this point in DC history, it was 1988. They had only just reintroduced Brainiac into the comics, and they weren't sure what they were doing with him. And with Wolfman in charge.
Oh, this is that episode, the one that you said is the sort of Brainiac episode.
Yes, Cybron is a sort of Brainiac, but not so much. He's got a great, design on him, the physicality on him. I mean, he's like 9 feet tall and a cyborg.
Cool.
But he is so great in the design they've got on him. They weren't sure exactly what they wanted to do with Brainiac, because in the comics at that time, Brainiac was still Milton Fine, the mentalist, possessed by the mind of Vril Dox, the Kaluan. And they weren't sure if they were going to do that or if they were going to do classic Silver Age Brainiac.
So I guess it just makes more sense to create a new villain, just because it's
it's
easier than trying to work out what was kind of muddled at the time.
Yeah. So they created this very interesting character, and just to watch the episode and the things that go on in it, it's amazing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure who does.
You've piqued my interest. I'm excited for this.
I'm not sure who does the voice of Cybron, but it's a very familiar, animation voice from the time period. So
we'll look out for familiar voice names when we see the credits at the end.
Yep.
So we'll definitely do that. Now, before we actually get into this commentary, something you should know if this is your first time finding our channel. I don't know why you would start with episode 4. Maybe it is. Who knows? This isn't a typical reaction video like you see on YouTube. You will not be seeing any actual clips from the episodes in this. This is a strict commentary, full length. We'll count you in basically, and you'll just have to hit play at the same time as we do, sync it up, and we'll be doing a full length commentary.
Yep.
So I hope you enjoy watching alongside us. So episode 4 of the Ruby Spears Superman show. I will count you in as a 3, 2, 1 play, and just hit play when I say play. 3, 2, 1, play. And here we are again with that wonderful John Williams theme.
Yep.
I like that the John Williams theme has changes as well that I'm noticing. They're very subtle. Like right at the start, it almost sounded like they were putting in just a little bit of the radio, the old radio theme, bit of the Fleischer theme with George Reeves as well. It's like it's like there. That sounds very, that sounds like early Superman.
Yep.
Era. Yeah, much like John Ottman's score for Superman Returns. I think it's a good sort of mix of old and new. It's got some of the John Williams there, but there's also some new themes introduced. I think that's great.
Oh, Buzz Dixon wrote this one.
This is a really fun sequence.
I'd still like to know how the table is being held in the sky. He's not obviously holding it.
Yeah, I just have to assume that he's got some of that Silver Age where, you know, the flying and the strength. Maybe it's like almost like a touch telekinesis type thing, which I know is an ability that the '90s Connor Superboy had.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like in Superman the movie, you know, when he's flying with Lois and he's only holding her by the tips of her fingers, and somehow she's not just like dangling below him. It's almost like anything he's directly in contact with just floats like he does.
Mm.
I remember you telling me that line a little while ago. I forget what the context was, but don't leave me here on my birthday. You've told me about that moment.
Yep.
I like that. That's a good Perry White moment.
Yeah, Stanley Ralph Ross was really great as Perry in this show. I love Lois's line just now. I've heard about birthdays being interrupted by something, and then she says, "But pyramids."
It is a little bit out of the ordinary, but then again, she did just have a birthday floating in the clouds with a flying man.
She really should be used to the out of the ordinary, given who she's involved with.
Yeah, she's Lois Lane. She should be expecting the unexpected at any given moment. You're right. It is an interesting design. He does look vaguely like the Juggernaut, though.
Yeah.
A little bit Sontaran.
And I love what he just said. You know, when Superman introduces himself to him, he says, "Is that supposed to impress me?"
Yeah. I like the voice effects they put over the actor there. Yeah. I think it works well. A little bit hard to tell what he was saying at a few moments, but for the most part, it was fine. It's worth it just to have him sound as intimidating as he does.
One thing I got to say about Ruby Spears, when they did designs on characters, they did really, really good designs.
Mm. I just saw the Superman S. The colors switched for a second.
Yeah, that
Isn't it funny with old animation how often stuff like that happened?
well, remember they were farming this out to companies in China and Korea and Japan.
Mm.
And
I've seen it in old Superman comics though, where just for one panel, the colors will be swapped, and it's like I don't know how it happened in the comics back then, but I guess they were pumping out so many comics all the time. It was I imagine there was a bit of a time crunch, and some things just got for there were mistakes made.
I'd still like to know how they got the net underneath the thing in the first place.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That's a little bit strange.
I mean, did Superman...
Also, that is a ridiculously big vehicle. The helicopters just dropped it on.
Yeah.
And that is got to be the biggest aircraft hangar I've ever seen. Because that pyramid was huge.
Yeah. And of course, Jimmy doing the stupid thing.
I've got to say, I do like the update to Jimmy's design. Simple thing, he's wearing the exact same thing he's always wore, but instead of a bow tie, it's just a regular tie. And I think it works. Oh, here he is. Oh, that's cool. That is a cool idea, turning the tanks and vehicles into other things to attack people.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a really interesting idea. Poor Jimmy. Since this show is clearly taking a lot of cues from the Silver Age and stuff, especially with the Super Baby segments at the end, but does Jimmy ever become Turtle Boy in this show?
Unfortunately, no.
Damn. I was going to say that would probably look pretty cool in this style of animation. I can imagine that being a good episode, but never mind. We'll have to do that in season 5 instead.
Yeah, I think the only time he's ever shown up in animation as Turtle Boy was in the Superman 75th anniversary short.
I loved that era of Jimmy Olsen plot lines, though. It seemed almost every week he'd have a different superpower. It's just...
Yep.
I never understand how anyone's able to creep up on Clark with his super hearing. I guess he must just be able to shut it off when he doesn't want to hear. I like the design, how they change the face and have the flashing stuff on it. This whole episode has got some really good design work. I totally see what you were talking about at the start. it's a well played story, changing history so you can be in charge. But I don't think I don't know.
It's kind of a trope that
It is a trope, but I don't know if I've seen it in Superman very often. So I'm totally fine with this show doing that. And you know what? Some tropes become tropes because they're such good ideas that they keep being repeated. And I'm a fan of a good trope in a story.
The only part about this that I don't understand is what prompted her to rip his shirt open.
I mean, I just assumed at that moment she was trying to grab him to take him to Cyberon, and the shirt just ripped.
Yeah, the animation on that should have been a little bit better.
Yeah,
to show that he was struggling a little bit, but he's just standing there.
If anybody that had any involvement making this show happens to see this at any point, I'd love to know sort of what the budget was like. Was it a good budget or was it quite low budget? Because it certainly looks a hell of a lot better than some like the Super Friends era stuff.
Well,
it does a lot of stuff very, very well. So I'd assume it's like a medium budget. They didn't have quite as much money as they perhaps would have liked, but it also wasn't so bad they couldn't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, when we're talking about budget, as far as Super Friends, I know that the final season of Super Friends, when it became the Superpowers team, it looked about the same as this.
I've talked about it on our show plenty of times, but I am very picky when it comes to animation. But this looks pretty good to me. It could look better, but yeah, I like it. It's like watching just a comic book come to life,
Yeah, and I think that was definitely the intention that Ruby Spears had when they did this.
There's a little bit of a music cue from Superman the movie again just then.
Yep.
I like that it's not just the theme tune. It's peppered throughout.
And now we get Cybron's history and his plan. It's interesting that design right there of just, it was just for maybe 2 seconds, a small crowd of people that have been converted. Imagine how much they had to pay for that.
I'm just thinking like it's a shame Cybron. I'm guessing this is the only appearance of Cybron in any media. I'm guessing he never came into the comics, nothing like that.
Nope, never showed up in the comics. I mean, he's in every single episode technically because he's in the opening credit sequence.
I don't count that. That's I'm just thinking it's a shame that I haven't used Cybron again because he's got a cool design, fun story. Like, I mean, I'm tempted to write an episode of season 5 with Cybron personally. I'd need a bit more inspiration than that, but I'd certainly be tempted.
Yeah, and to do him right, we need like a 9-foot tall actor.
Well, we cheat it like they did when they shot Lord of the Rings. We false perspective it.
Yeah. Bo Weaver has such great delivery as Superman.
Hmm.
You
I
listen.
like that it's not the super sort of Fleischer-esque or radio-esque Superman voice, where it's very of its time. You couldn't do that performance today, as much as I love it.
Yeah.
This is like a good sort of modernization of how to do Superman and Clark Kent in animation. No, you're right. He does a good job. There's lots of little things this show's doing right, just on a design level. Like, as the poses that Superman's in, like when he flies and stuff, that's pulled straight from the comics.
It's very Byrne and Swan-esque.
Definitely. Well, it's reminiscent of everyone that had drawn Superman over the years,
Well, except for Wayne Boring.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Wayne Boring.
There's a little bit of Neil Adams in a few poses and stuff like that as well, and there's a bunch of artists that you could say. Wayne Boring, he's not my favorite Superman artist, but I think his work is fine.
Yeah, it's a little. His stuff is a little goofy in some spots.
Sometimes, I do like his stuff. It's very. You can tell that he was probably instructed to just draw as much like Kurt Swan as possible.
Yeah.
I
think he predated Swan.
Did he? Oh, maybe Swan was originally told to copy Boring then. But obviously it became Swan elevated what he was doing a little bit more, perhaps. No, I've respect for Wayne Boring.
I love this moment. He converts them back and then erases their memory of his identity.
Yeah, there's definitely some. I'll tell you what, the design for Superman just then, do you remember a few years, but it's got to be like 15, 20 years ago at this point, but it was Jerry Seinfeld did a bunch of credit card commercials with an animated Superman.
The American Express commercials.
Yeah. I feel like the design for Superman in this and the design for Superman in that was basically identical. But I wonder if they actually pulled assets from this for that. It's not 1-to-1, but it's close.
That's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility.
Oh, we skipped forward in time a little bit to his first day at school. Sherry Wilkinson again.
Yep.
Is it Wilkinson or Wilkerson? I missed
Wilkerson.
Right. Bit of trivia. The unnamed family from Malcolm in the Middle, their surname was also Wilkerson.
Oh.
You see it in one of the first episodes on an ID badge. That's the only time you ever find out their name. I love, though, that every version of Ma and Pa Kent have to have the red pickup truck. You just need it. It's like an iconic part of their family.
And this is our first introduction to Lana.
That's cool.
Except she's blonde.
That's fine. We've had redhead Lois Lanes before now. Still made me laugh. When Amy Adams was cast for Man of Steel, all these people go, "You can't have a ginger Lois Lane." It's like, I mean, are you forgetting Noelle Neal? I'm sorry, she was a redhead Lois.
Yep.
Worked perfectly fine.
Yeah, but remember, we only found out that she was redhead. She was a redhead in the
Once
final.
it turned to color.
Yeah. Before then, it was just she probably had brown hair, as far as we knew.
Yeah. But I count it that she did the entire time. She's still the first redhead Lois Lane.
And
So
even
long before Amy Adams.
yeah, Amy Adams even pointed that out when she was playing Lois Lane.
Hmm. And look, Lana in Smallville was a brunette,
And half Chinese.
Yeah. Although I think in the show, I'm not sure that's because you see her mother in the show and then you meet her biological father, and none of them, they're both just white people in
Yeah.
Smallville. So I don't know where, that genetic part of her came from, but I'm not complaining because, Kristen Krug is absolutely stunning.
Yes.
It is a Looney Tunes cartoon. When you see Super Baby and just young Clark Kent at this age, the world becomes a Looney Tunes cartoon for a little while, and it's glorious. It is weird though they didn't just make Lana a redhead in this flashback.
Probably a coloring error.
Maybe
Because in later episodes,
she
of the
is.
Family album, she is a redhead.
Yeah. Is Pete Ross in this as well, and I've just missed it? Or
Nope, no Pete Ross.
That's a shame. That's a character I'd like to bring in for season 5 at some point.
Well, he did sort of appear in the tie-in comic related to the Superboy show.
Mm. But it'd be nice to actually. We could even refer back to that, make it canon.
Yep.
I feel bad for George now. He's being gaslit by the teacher. That poor kid. Rest of his life, he's going to be like, I know what I saw. It's going to drive him mad. That poor kid.
Interesting note, Ma Kent is voiced by Tress McNeely from Simpsons fame.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Was she the voice of Miss Krabappel?
No, she was actually the voice of Ned Flanders' first wife, Maud.
Right, that's what I'm thinking of. I knew it was one of the characters that was dead now, but yeah. I missed in the credits there on who voiced Cybron. We wanted to look for that, didn't we?
Let's see. I can easily rewind.
It might not even tell us. It doesn't always.
It doesn't say, but I could probably figure it out.
Featuring the voices of.
Yep.
Frank Welker is one of the voices, like you said. Bo Weaver, Ginny McSwain, Mark Taylor.
Mark Taylor, that's our Jimmy Olsen.
Right. Yeah, another great episode. I see what you were talking about at the start about Cybron. It's a really interesting, not just design, but I think his voice is cool. It's the trope of a character coming back in time so he can change history to suit his own needs so that he can rule in the future it's a well-worn trope, but it's that way for a good reason because it's a fun story.
Yeah,
to base it
absolutely. But the problem with doing a story like that, and this is mostly in the story itself.
Mm.
It's the short-sightedness of the villain. Cybron obviously is cybernetic. He's, I think, from the year 4000. Okay, where does the technology come from that makes him if he changes history?
Well, that would be the paradox, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's fun, and I like the whole thing where he can use his technology to turn basically vehicles and stuff into other giant monsters to attack people. I thought that was a really interesting element, and it's something I'm surprised I've not really seen done very much. I know the Transformers movies, I think it's the first one, they used it and they were turning vehicles into Decepticons or something.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. I didn't like that movie particularly. I'm not a big Transformers guy.
Yeah,
But,
and the thing about Cybron, he's kind of like a proto Borg from Star Trek.
oh, definitely. He's taking away all their free will. He's taking away their individuality.
Yep. He's
And making
converting
them
them into
drones.
one of his own.
Yeah, they're drones basically. And that whole part where they, it took over Lois and Jimmy was really cool. And I like that even after Superman sort of got them back, they still looked like they were under his control. He hadn't quite reversed all of it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting part of the plot. And a really fun comedic moment at the end there when he, before he changes them all the way back, he removes that bit of their memory.
Yeah, and Lois is as he's
She's
doing
like,
it,
I'm sure, I feel like I should be mad at you for some reason, but I can't remember why. Like, that's a really funny moment. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this show. How many episodes did it last? Was it 12? You said
It was 13.
13.
Yeah, the 13th episode.
It's annoying that it was so short lived because I'm really enjoying this and I'm looking forward to doing another episode. I hope people are enjoying watching us watch these. I know it's been a little while since we did episode 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, since I can do it on the disc, let's see what the next episodes that we get are. The next one is The Big Scoop, and then Overnight with the Scouts. And then we have Triple Play and The Circus. And then we have The Hunter and Little Runaway.
Right.
Big Scoop.
Obviously, I've not seen this show, so none of that means anything to me. I'm guessing The Big Scoop is a sort of Lois-centric storyline where she's trying to...
Actually, no.
Really? Okay.
There's, not to spoil it, but there's like a tabloid TV host,
right,
who has this show that is really tanking on Lex's network, and he says to Lex, "Come on, just give me one more chance. I can get my ratings back up." And Lex steals this device called the Chronotron, which can show you what's going on 3 hours in the future.
That's cool. That's an interesting idea.
And after stealing it, Lex, he finds out that Clark and Superman are the same person. And he calls the tabloid host and he says, "I've got your story." He's going to reveal on network TV who Superman really is.
I wonder if it inspired that episode of Lois and Clark with was it Raquel Welch was in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Raquel Welch, who we just lost a couple of weeks ago.
I didn't even know about that.
I think she was in her early 80s.
I tell you what, she still looked fantastic in Lois and Clark. I know it was quite a long time after she wore, was it the fur bikini in, was it a million years BC or something?
Yes.
Yeah, she's an icon, and she still looked gorgeous in Lois and Clark. It's a real shame to have lost her. She was obviously very talented. But I wonder if that story was inspired by The Big Scoop in any way, because it's very similar.
Yeah. I'm not even going to tell you how he gets out of it, but it's a really Silver Age moment where he gets out of his identity being revealed, and that's all I'm going to say.
Does he build a Superman robot?
No.
Okay. He finds someone that looks vaguely like him to wear glasses and pretend to be Clark Kent.
I'm not going to say.
There are a million ways he could get around that. Lois and Clark had, they had Martha Kent, obviously, as aspiring artists throughout that show. And it just happened that the week that he needed his identity confirmed was the week she was working with holograms for some reason.
that just went a little bit beyond.
Yeah, that was a bad ending for that episode, but there
Yeah.
should have been another way to do that. But oh well.
I mean, the way they did it in Lois and Clark, in I think it was season 3 with Tempest, when they had the Superman from the alternate Earth.
Great.
That was a better
that
way.
was good. Yeah, that was really cool.
And of course, I just love that sequence when Superman is there and Clark is there, and Tempest is trying to tell them the truth. He's obviously from an alternate dimension. Duh. And everybody just thinks he's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you would. Yeah, I'm having so much fun watching these Ruby Spears animated shows. It's nice. Obviously, this channel will always be primarily dedicated to Superboy. That's where 99% of our content is going to be based in. But I'm enjoying watching these Ruby Spears. I think at some point it might be fun to do commentaries on some Lois and Clark episodes and some George Reeves episodes.
Yeah.
Might also be cool to watch the original Kirk Allen Superman and do commentaries on that.
Yeah.
Not sure where, I don't know how to get hold of that stuff necessarily.
Yeah, I hope they release the Kirk Allen stuff on Blu-ray soon.
Is it? I'm assuming it's on DVD.
Both serials were released on DVD.
I've never seen them for sale in the UK, so I might have to buy an American copy. But you know what? So be it. If that's the case.
And it's not like you can't watch it. I mean, you do have your player that
Yeah, I mean, I've got an external. Yeah, my laptop that I watched. It was my main computer for a long time. It was region locked on the DVD player, but I do have an external USB one that doesn't seem to care about regions, so I can watch stuff through that, but not through the built-in drive, which is annoying. But there you go. But we may even do commentaries on the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and the Helen Slater Supergirl, and maybe we'll do some Superman animated series, maybe some Smallville. Every now and then it's nice just to drop into a different piece of Superman media. And
yeah, because like you said, while we are primarily the Superboy TV series, if we don't touch upon everything else in Superman history, we're kind of cheating ourselves as well as the fans.
Yeah, because we love this stuff, and we love talking about this stuff, and it doesn't make much sense to not talk about something that we enjoy just because it's not quite what the channel's known for. We can branch out and do a little bit. People seem to enjoy watching our Ruby Spears commentaries, at least the first 2 that we've put up. It's going to be a little while before we know if people watched 3 and 4,
right?
Because we are so in advance of the upload schedule. But I hope people enjoy it, and please leave us a comment. Let us know if watching commentaries on something else Superman related is something you'd be interested in us doing. You can even give us suggestions on episodes to watch. You could be, I imagine the Tempest episodes of Lois and Clark will be good ones to do commentaries on. Maybe we'll just do like a marathon type thing where we just watch all the Tempest episodes. That could be fun.
Lane Davies, he was so great as Tempest. I mean,
he really was. That's one of the characters that if we do a Tempest episode in season 5, that's one of the characters and actors we'll be keeping, because he's great. He's basically the reverse Flash, but for Superman. And that's awesome.
And I just love some of the things that he said. Just that sequence when he's putting the glasses on, taking them off, and he's like,
duh.
And he says, Lois Lane, the most galactically stupid woman in history.
Just great.
And then, of course,
you can tell that it just cuts deep. I mean, we may change it and make him a little more sinister in our version. Just no point doing it exactly the same. But
yeah, I mean,
he's still going to have comedic lines.
Yeah, I think we should. If we do Tempest, he's definitely going to still have that line, but his delivery is going to be a little bit more harder edge.
Yeah, like he's trying to hurt her in that moment, rather than you know, he's still trying to hurt her in the original episode, but he's doing it with more of a laugh and a wink and a joke.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he's great. And, you know, I don't think all the Tempest episodes are wonderful. You know, there's the one where, I forget, it's like Clark is like Robin Hood type thing. He's like wearing a mask. He's like a Robin Hood combined with Zorro. And
yeah, and that was all of Clark's past lives. Oh, geez, that one was awful.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that one, but we are still fans of the character. You know, like Lane Davies. You said his name is.
Yes,
Lane Davies. Like he was just phenomenal in that role. So yeah, leave us some comments on Superman media you would like to see us do a commentary on. Alternatively, if there's just a topic or something Superman related that you'd like to see us just do a regular podcast episode on, you know,
absolutely.
Leave your suggestions, because when we get requested to do stuff, we always like to do it because it makes us feel like we're keeping close to the fans. And you know how much we appreciate all of you. So thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave us the comments, as we say, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Goodbye. Same super time, same super channel.
Up and away.